Yes, Honourable Minister of Housing.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I have listened with a lot of interest to all those who have preceded me, and I have also read with a lot of interest all those who took part in the debate last week. I was not in Mauritius and I was not in the House. However, I thought it was important for me to peruse the words pronounced in this August Assembly by the Honourable Leader of the Opposition. But then again, I cannot but state the obvious. Once again, the Opposition, on such an important debate, one of them decides to pronounce a speech, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition. The second member of the Opposition, the ally of the MSM, decides not to say a word with regards to this historic piece of legislation. A first step towards sorting out a serious problem that our society is facing. Let the people outside of this assembly see it clearly. Let the cameras, let the eyes of the public look at those two empty seats. And what do those two empty seats show? They show the actual inability, incompetence of those two members, the parties they belong to. 10 years, they have not been able to propose anything with regards to sorting out the drug issues. On the contrary, let me not repeat again what all have said, Madam Speaker. We know exactly les gabzi. We know what they have done, what they have not done, what they have refused to do. We know about the planting. We know about everything. But then there was no strategy. And the reason why there was no strategy on their part is because there was no will. And why there was no will, we know why there was no will. Certain people needed to be protected. Madam Speaker, I look at the speech of the Honourable Leader of the Opposition, and what do I read? And I read and I quote from what he said. I quote, comme c'est le cas dans plusieurs pays, nous avons décidé de traiter les usagers de drogue comme des patients qui sont ainsi sous des traitements par le ministère de la Santé. Dans la même foulée, Madame la Présidente, nous avions introduit l'utilisation du cannabis médical. Untrue. I have asked, when is it that cannabis medical is allowed to come to Mauritius? I'm not here attacking the Leader of the Opposition by saying that he's a liar. I'm not saying that. I'm only saying that what he said is not true. I don't want to go against standing orders. Whatever he said is not true, because fact, easy to be checked. You do not have cannabis medical in Mauritius, because in order to bring it into Mauritius, you need a prescription. And a prescription that is utilized is from abroad, because it has to be brought in here, but it's not accepted here. So what is this nonsense that he's making? What is he saying there? Total nonsense. Second nonsense. What does he say? La possession de drogue à usage personnel a été décriminalisée depuis 3 ans. Huge nonsense. I have been a lawyer for many, many years. I have spoken to friends in this August Assembly who are barristers who know that this is not true. Or maybe he does not understand what décriminaliser means. It makes it worse. Or maybe he is just saying things only to please his ears, or to please his masters, who were in the habit of fooling the people and coming up with words and words and words that had no sense whatsoever. So why do we have here a speech of the Honourable Leader of the Opposition that makes no sense? So what is his call to fame? Oh, his call to fame? We call for a commission d'enquête. But we all know the results of the commission d'enquête. We've heard the Honourable Omia, who has spoken about of those who were mentioned as les acteurs principaux, même actrice of what Judge Hon Shakeel found. We know. But then again, you see, let me pick up from where Honourable Subron, the Minister, Honourable Subron, stated, where he talked about 1971, and 1971 about Nixon. And he talks about at the time when there was the criminalization of drugs. At the time when drugs were criminalized in the United States of America, that created a new category of traffickers. See, because before it was criminalized, traffickers didn't exist. And it reminds me of the time of the prohibition.
Yes.
At the time when alcohol was prohibited, it created another category altogether. That was bootleggers. And what happened during the time of bootlegging? People made money. Why did they make money? Because, precisely, the demand was such as opposed to the supply, and it was made unlawfully or traded unlawfully. There was a whole traffic of alcohol that happened, and the price went up. People made money. It became a crime, and certain people benefited from that crime. And whereas others became victims of those criminals. The same thing happened. What happens when it becomes a traffic? When it becomes a traffic, people make money. And what has happened when you look at the statistics of Mauritius, look at it, look at the statistics of Mauritius. Number one, the number of people who are arrested for synthetic drugs is on the rise. Ever since 2015 onwards, on the rise. And people will be surprised that in the health departments of our country, the number of women who are admitted because of synthetic drugs is on the rise. You will be surprised that in certain categories, there are more women being admitted for synthetic drugs consumption than men. And you will see that year on, year in, year out, the number of people becoming victims and falling to the ground, dying, losing their lives, losing their minds, destroying their health because of drugs is on the rise. And the government says, the honorable leader of the opposition says that they have done well. But if this is doing well, God knows what is doing bad. Madam Speaker, the one way to break down traffic, there is only one way, is to remove the lure. What is it? The lure of money. If you break down the traffic, the fact that there is money in there, you hit the pocket of the trafficker, there will be no interest for the trafficker to continue being a trafficker. That's as simple as that. And when we look at the statistics, what do we see? We see that the statistics, those who are arrested the most are those who are consumers. Consumers of cannabis, consumers of synthetic drugs. And there is undoubtedly, all the documents I've read shows it, there is undoubtedly a direct correlation between the increase in the use of synthetic cannabinoids and the decrease in the use of cannabis. I see the correlation in all graphs. Not only in Mauritius, even abroad. I know there are certain people who hold different views. But then again, we should take opportunity of this debate, which is a real step towards conquering the ailment that we are suffering from as a society. Take advantage of it. And let us not be concentrated on only one view, because there are views of many that we have to look at. And here I pick up onto what a lot of our friends today have said, Madam Speaker, decriminalization as opposed to legalization. I am not for legalization, but then again, let's stop for a minute and talk about decriminalization. I've read reports, several reports, and the question that I put, how many people today are behind bars in Mauritius simply for possessing a dose of drug? Question. Statistics in Mauritius do not tell us. The prison services do not tell us. How many are behind bars only for simple case of possession? And those are the questions that are put in various other jurisdictions. What are the benefits of decriminalization? I am not the one saying it, but I'm reading from a summary of various reports, ranging from the British Medical Association to the reports from the Senate in the United States, to reports of the United Nations, the World Health Organization, and a summary of all of it say those are the benefits of decriminalizing. Number one, reducing the number of people arrested. The idea here is not simply to arrest someone simply because he is smoking a joint, as we put it. This is not the whole idea. Reducing the number of people incarcerated, increasing uptake into drug treatment, that's the whole idea. Reducing criminal justice costs and redirecting resources from criminal justice to health systems. Allow me at this juncture to quote what the World Health Organization has stated on this issue of decriminalization. It says, I quote, countries should work towards developing policies and laws that decriminalize injection and other use of drugs, and thereby reduce incarceration. Countries should work towards developing policies and laws that decriminalize the use of clean needles and syringes. Countries should ban compulsory treatment for people who use and/or inject drugs. Human Rights Watch, what do they say? I quote, drug control policies that impose criminal penalties for personal drug use undermine basic human rights. Subjecting people to criminal sanctions for the personal use of drugs or for possession of drugs for personal use infringes on their autonomy and right to privacy. The criminalization of drug use has undermined the right to health. Government should rely instead on non-penal regulatory and public health policies. Now, those are issues that will have to be debated. The apex body that is being created through this legislation, they will be experts there, headed by experts, and they will have to find ways and means of analyzing all of this, because the people out there, Madam Speaker, want to find a solution. You see, when we come with this piece of legislation, we have questions from members of the public. What is the purpose of this legislation? In what way will it help parents who are so traumatized? In what way will it help family members who have family members of their own, or friends or neighbors who are victims to drug trafficking and drug abuse? How do we help them? Number one, let us understand that those are victims, and we should see them as victims. Those are debates that should happen at the level of the apex body. And we should also take advantage of the situation to know that if we have used a system to fight drugs ever since the 1970s, let's look at the facts. Has it worked? No. The reason it will not work is because the money is alluring. Once, if there is money in there, it doesn't work. And let me try to conclude by referring to what I have seen with my own eyes. I have been to Geneva. At the time when I was Minister of Labour, between 2010 and 2014, under the Prime Ministership of our Honourable Prime Minister now. In Geneva, I visited an ONG called Première Ligne. Première Ligne, Mr. Honourable Nasser knows very well. He was there at the time. Première Ligne runs a place called K9. K9 is in the city center of Geneva. K9, Q-U-A-I, 9. And there, what do they do? You see, Mauritius, the Honourable Prime Minister, introduced a very important element, which is the use of methadone. Very important. But K9 have gone a step further. They have a place where they have a register of all drug users, and there is an arrangement with the police that all those drug users, those who inject heroin, those who smoke cannabis, those who sniff, all type of drugs, all the drug users who are registered with K9 and who come to K9 to be administered the drugs are not arrested by the police. Because they come into an official stream of those who want to be recognized as patients who need a medical help. And they go there, they are assisted by medical doctors who welcome them. They pick a number. I saw it. I've been there. I've seen it. They pick a number. They wait for their turn. A medical doctor receives them, gives them a syringe, gives them cotton, gives them what they have, whatever they need. They sniff, they inject. But it is done in a safe place. Prostitutes have said, I no longer am afraid now. I don't have to be hit or threatened in any way whatsoever, because I can go a step further in Geneva. If I want to find drugs for me, since I'm a patient, prostitutes have said, the government of the Canton de Genève provides it to me. Clean medical heroin. Thereby killing the trade. You kill the trade, because where else, if the prostitute doesn't go to buy it from the drug dealer, the supplier, what happens? Because the government is providing clean heroin as a medication for that prostitute. For a woman who no longer has to rely sur le proxénète. This is liberation. This is strategy. And has it worked? I've read the statistics. Yes, law and order problems have gone down. Agression contre les femmes has gone down. Simple criminal behavior has gone down. And this has not increased the number of drug users, but on the contrary, it has managed to bring them in the normal stream of employability and work. So this is the whole idea. Either we dare to be different, or we simply say, let us use the same system that we have used since 1970s, believing that we can, in fact, be better by continuing to use the same system and expecting a different result. That doesn't work. Madam Speaker, be it Netherlands, they have used system. Portugal has come up with a system. Now England, and I'll conclude on that. In England, they have come up with one step further. There is now a heroin-assisted treatment. Heroin-assisted treatment. They have adopted the system in Geneva. And what are the results? In Middlesbrough, what has happened? They have found that, in actual fact, the objective has been reached, whereby government is killing the trade, drug trafficker. The money is being removed from their pockets. They're nullifying it. It's not lucrative anymore for a drug trafficker. They no longer want to be in that trade. They diversify. But as long as our people are protected. So this is what I humbly expect. This is what the government wants. It wants a debate for a proper solution, not a pretense as the previous government have done. Because while they were pretending, many have fallen along the way. I remember in this house how the former Minister of Health under the MSM regime, when there were questions being put to him as to what was the reason, cause of death, because of people who were admitted for use of synthetic drugs. There were, as other members have said, other reasons were being, pulmonary edema, for example, was said. But every time they were hiding the truth. You can never find a solution if you don't face the reality head on. And this is what this government is doing. And this is what the Honorable Prime Minister and his team is doing. I say congratulations to him. Congratulations to the Deputy Prime Minister, the Attorney General. I know they've worked a lot on it. I know for a fact the effort that the officers of the State Law Office have put in making this. With regards to the issue of decriminalization, there are provisions under Section 28A of the Dangerous Drugs Act, but under rules and conditions. So, strict rules and conditions. There has not been legalization or decriminalization of medical cannabis. There has been no legalization of medical cannabis as such. And it is only available under strict conditions, but in practical terms, as I said, in practical terms. Can anyone in Mauritius tell me, okay, he has had a prescription that is admitted and agreed and he's brought it here? No. So, not far from us. Not far from us. And I'll have to really conclude on that. You know, in France, less than 0.3% of THC in CBD, it's called CBD, okay, is legal and it's sold off the street. Why? Because it is not something that is dangerous to society. So either we embrace solutions that are there, or we try to use the same approach. I say it again. Now, it has never been a solution to use the same approach when, in fact, it has never produced solutions. Now, being hard, arresting, you'll end up arresting all consumers. We are here to treat consumers. And we should break down the attractiveness of this trade. Remove the money. And as I said, whenever there is no money, the drug trafficker will try to diversify and do something else. Maybe we'll get him to plant some potatoes, but he will not be into drugs because there'll be more money in potatoes.
Or mushrooms?
Or mushrooms. But then again, let's be very careful. We'll be very careful. Maybe certain mushrooms, we have to be very careful. But those are my observations, and I am very hopeful. And the people out there are hopeful that those who have now the responsibility of suggesting changes, directions under those agendas that they have, that it will be done, but we will dare to be different, and we will bring daring measures. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, Honourable Prime Minister.
Madam Speaker,
Don't think I'm in favour of mushrooms.
Sorry?
Don't think